brightness of the morning stars, love expanded, infinite, come to earth, a hero's journey, finding what has always been, finding what has always been, finding what has always been. Feel me now.
Hi there, my name is Jamie Devine. Welcome to I Am Divinity.
You know, here at IAMDIVINITY, what we do is we help you unlock your inner power.
So that's what we're doing. Don told me his vision of raising humanity's consciousness to the level of 700 on the scale, enlightenment.
That's power.
Imagine how healthy our community will be.
They're so pure and so powerful.
Well, welcome everyone. Great to have everybody on the call that's here and ones that are coming. What an exciting adventure we're on here at I Am Divinity. Seriously. Very, very, very exciting. Oh, I've been doing this journey for quite a while. I made, went from all of these layers and levels. There's a conscious scale that Dr. David Hawkins created, and it's from, well, it goes from 0, but 50. Start counting at 50 all the way up to 1,000, and yeah, it's like, okay, here's what this looks like. And the thing is about this is that, let's say you're in rage. Well, that's here's the scale. So rage would be, where in the heck is rage? Well, we'll go with anger. That's 150. No, and it's like shame, guilt, and shame. How many grew up in an alcoholic or a drug addicted home, whether it was alcohol or drugs or murderer's rage, whatever, like manipulation and control. How many of you did that? Have a look at that scale. Where was that? And like trying to get someone to stop doing one of them is crazy. It's crazy. That's not how it works. It isn't. But if you go across each of them, they're the shame and the humiliation and them being miserable and despising. Yeah. And all you have to do is listen to the news. Yeah, just go listen to yesterday's news. Find out where it is on that scale. Yeah, it's like, yeah. And the point of it is, like, trying to stop someone from doing that is a complete waste of time. A complete exercise in futility. So there's a much faster way. So all of us here at I Am Divinity are between 700 and 1,000. That is the scale of enlightenment. Look at that. Look at the purples and the pinks and yeah, that's why we rate pinks and purples. is a reflection of our consciousness. That's right. And so, how do we get there? We climb a ladder? Is there a ladder of some sort? Well, there is, sort of. But what I'd like you to do is have a look at that scale and do a self-evaluation. Say, oh, that is where I'm at. I'm at hate, or I'm at anger, or I'm at courage, or I'm at grief. You know, I lost my wife and my daughter within 15 months of each other. 15 months. Okay? Rosie died in March, I believe it was. And the next year, my daughter Shelley died of June. Year and a half. Yeah. But you know what? From doing my process at the IAMDIVINITY, both of them died on a Tuesday. I went through massive grief with Rosie from Tuesday all the way to Friday night, Saturday. Just crazy. And then all of the grief and sadness. It was. I did my process on dissolving that grief, the regret, and all of that. All of the, oh, if I had to done that or should have did this. And she had toxic children, adults, children, and me letting them take control over Rosie. I wanted her to do the IAMDIVINITY, and she sided in with her. Yeah, unfortunately. And the same, but what I'm saying is, as far as the grief, it was, she died on Tuesday morning. Saturday morning, all my grief was gone. How's that? So 15 months later, my daughter died. And it was the same amount of time. Died on a Tuesday, and on Saturday, all my grief and loss, sadness. How did that happen? How did that happen? And so it's like, so for Shelley, it was like, oh, no, she sided in with her husband. I should have been more forceful. I should have got her to because I'll tell you what happened with Shelley, and something similar to Rosie. So Shelley was, let me see if I can recall the situation. How did that work? Oh, yes. So she was, I had one of my sisters, Brenda, and I had a meeting with Shelley. It's like, like, come on, Shelley. Like, I can show you how to be in your light. I can show you how to be in your light. Raise your consciousness. You can overcome this cancer. And yeah, Dad, I'd like to, but I'm going to go with my. Okay. I respect your decision, Shelley. Totally disagree, but I respect it. And so that's what I did. I let her make that decision, and yeah, she died of cancer. I know what happened was she let me do something with her. She let me do the process with her. Now, she hadn't been out of bed other than to go to the bathroom for 3 months. You hear me? 3 months. Just get up, go to the bathroom, go back to bed. And then one day she said, okay, Dad, okay, I'll do the process with you. Okay. Now, they lived out in the country, 18 kilometers away, and they were a quarter of a mile from the East River. And I worked with her that morning. That day, that day, she got out of bed, walked down to the shore, which was about a quarter of a mile away, okay? Walked back, and then went into town with her husband to shop after she cleaned the living room. Now tell me how crazy that is. But then she turned around and followed her husband's request, and ended up dying. Yeah, it was tragic. Same with Rosie. I wanted her to do mine, but her kids were just fighting me, fighting. And so I just said, okay, Rosie, it's your life. Go do that. She did the same as Shell. Yeah. So it was incredibly difficult to watch the two of them take the path that they chose for that. So the scale is show you where you're at. And it's not about getting rid of the illness or the disease or the whatever. It's about raising your consciousness so it's not there. That's the difference. I'll get my tech guy to put the scale up there so you can see it. And it depends on where you're at. And so, it goes all the way from 50 to 1,000. The higher you are, the less you have of illnesses and diseases and anger and rage and scarcity and lack, all of them. That's how it works. So what the scale is you doing an exam. Oh, I'm at 75, or I'm at 90. And you can find out doing muscle tests, what your religion is, what level it is. Lots of times you'd be surprised at how low they are, because a lot of them are intellectual, and you can only go so high on the consciousness scale intellectually. Yeah. So, Will, can you get the chart up? So, we'll have a look at that and see where are you at? Where are you at on that scale? And the higher we are, the brighter our vibration is, more we can see. Like, think about this. Like, Dr. Hawkins used the word ineffable. That's what he used. The enlightenment is the state of it being ineffable. Yeah. It's pure consciousness. And most days I'm in that. Almost continuous. There's some things that go with that. And then you drop down some, 600. The bliss and the joy is serenity. But if you go at the bottom, once again, shame is humiliation and guilt and blame, apathy and despair, grief and regret, fear and anxiety. So trying to get somebody to stop doing them, it's just a complete waste of time. What it is how do I get here to these higher levels of consciousness? How do we do that? Well, that's what I perfected. In Jamie's opening to this today, it's like here to raise humanity's consciousness to 700. That's what I'm here for. That's what my team is surrounding me. Jamie and I've traveled everywhere, sharing this consciousness, talking about So to get to 700 is pretty amazing feat because it's like the scales. I used to, I lived in my uncle's farm for 3 years. You put a 100-pound bag of potatoes on the scale and the scale tips. It tips to, whatever. Yeah, that's everybody is one time or another. Many have got on a scale to find out what weight you are. Because now it's your identity. Yeah. So now it's all this external. So it depends on where you're at. And the higher you go, I'm just saying this, the higher you go on this scale, the less chances of any kind of a war, any of those kind of things. They cannot and will not happen. Okay? Now, once again, I did a podcast yesterday and talking about these numbers, scales, and the lower you are, more that you're out of having trouble loving, or you're having affairs, or addictions. I had a bunch of them. I had alcohol and drug addiction, for example. Now I went the hard way. Took me, I don't know, maybe 45 years without alcohol. Okay, and so how did I do that? I did it the tough way. Because what I did was at the lower levels, and I just kept working my way up, getting rid of this, getting rid of that, getting rid of this. And I'm talking about me taking you for the very first time, no matter where you're at on that scale. And I can take you 700 in 2 hours. Okay? Now, it's taken me a long time to perfect and get it to this level. A long time. So, for example, my journey started in 1979, New Year's Eve. Yeah, that's when I quit drinking. And that's when I started, but I did it at a behavioral level. That's how I did it. That's what took me so long. I was 8 years in the AA, and now, for example, I mentioned this on a previous call. It was a billionaire that had 5 addictions: alcohol, drugs, food, gambling, and sex. Well, it was a little less than an hour. They were all gone. So what I've done is I've perfected the instantness neurologically and cellularly, not intellectually, to where those high vibrations, and of course it's the best can be pure consciousness. Best can be this state of ineffable, 700 to 1,000. And like the guy that killed that nurse, that's been all over the news here last 2 weeks, locking him up forever. Understandable. But he was at 20 when he did that. At 20, if somebody had got a hold of him and put him up to 300, it would be impossible to do that. So this scale is a representation, using Dr. Hawkins' way of measuring this, as to what this looks like, what it feels like. So we were talking about Ukraine and Russia and having wars. Well, if I work with Putin and I don't know who the other guy is or whatever, they were open. War. I mean, Trump has a different way of doing it. He has prevented wars a few times, and but he's at Not up at the high levels, but he certainly is a force to be reckoned with. He is. So, so each of these is like, I'm talking about raising your consciousness, and your world changes as a result. Many times, instantly. You'll pick the right person, a relationship. All of a sudden, your symptoms stop. We had a call last night or the night before. Yeah, it was last night, I think. Don't pay much attention to time anymore. And the guy, I just asked, if they get any symptoms. And the guy said, yeah, I've got prostate cancer. Oh, really? Yeah. Long beheaded, and he started telling me all the story. Well, but just so you know, I had a guy that I met in my my condo in the recycling room. I had taken down the recycling and papers here, cans here, bottles here, boom, boom, boom. Went to walk out. Guy walking in, he was as gray as this here speaker holder. I said, holy shit, man, what's going on? What's going on? He looked terrible. I got prostate cancer. I've had it for 16 months. They gave me 32 radiation treatments, burned all my stomach, wall, and intestines. I don't know how much time I have to live. Don't listen to that bullshit. Can I ask you a few questions? So from the moment he opened the door to walk in, the moment I opened the door to walk out was a total of 15 minutes. All I knew is his name was Al. That's all I knew. 3 weeks later, I get a call. Don, this is Al Valjanik. I met you in the recycling room 3 weeks ago. Yeah, Al. Yeah, I remember you. Well, I just wanted to let you know. I just had x-rays. I don't have any cancer. Now, the guy last night, or the night before, whatever it was, I don't know. One of those two. He was like, oh my God. And you could hear it in his voice. You could hear it in his voice. Like he knew I was telling the truth. He knew he could hear the truth in what I was saying. And I have no proof yet. But it was like you could hear it in his voice. The cancer was already leaving if it had not already left. Sake of 2 hours. Yeah. See, we're that powerful to create something like cancer, and we're that powerful to get rid of something like whether that's cancer or MS or post-traumatic stress or like the whatevers. What I do is I'm able to take them up through that consciousness scale, to as high as they'll let me, I have created a double sound technique. And finding out, first of all, the trauma. There is a trauma. And almost exclusively, it's before the age of reason. Almost exclusively. And you just play this tape over and over and over and over. And then depending on how strong it is, as to where you are on that consciousness scale. Yeah. That's it. You just keep doing the same thing over and over. Subconsciously, my dad. Subconsciously. And like look at them. And so, spiritual is one thing. Religion is another. 99% of religions are below the level of integrity, which is 200. Okay? Most of them. Yeah, pretty crazy. You think about it. Because they're externally referenced. This is not external. This is internal. This is you. Shifting. And it's not something you do. It's a state of being. They're literally a war. Trump pretty well stop the war. But if Putin was open, I work with him, there would be no war. There would be no war. There would be none of this killing. There's rape and pillage and thievery and your country being destroyed. Yeah. But it's not trying to stop it. It's to elevate their consciousness. That's what the map of consciousness is about, is the measuring of that. It's the measuring of it. So all I'm telling you is 700 to 1,000. There's a scale there to say, okay, 700 to 1,000 is I think, I don't know, something like I forget the number of people that are offset. It's like the scales. Okay, somebody at 700 offsets this many people below the level of consciousness. Yeah. And that's what he do. And it's energetic. So I don't have to work with 2,000 people for that to happen. I don't. All I do is raise. I can raise one person. One person. One person at 1,000. One person at 1,000. It's like half the world shifted. Would you like to be a part somehow, some way? Not the way of trying to get doctors to change the way they do things with people. Most of those elements are poisonous. Like, here's a drug. Here's a drug. Let's operate on this. Let's cut this out. It's like, yeah, no, you're dealing with a symptom, man. You're dealing with a symptom. Yeah, that's not what this is. It was created. You created it. I'm guessing you're pissed off at me. Not? But that's okay. Saying that's taking responsibility for that. You telling me I created my cancer? Yes, I am telling you that. There's a way to measure that. And why would I say something so arrogant sounding, possibly, to some of you? It's for you to take ownership. So if you created that, and I could show you how you created that, and you actually wanted to get rid of that, then would it make sense that you could reverse it? I'm saying yes. That's what I'm saying. I've seen it every day. I probably have, just cancer alone, I'd say maybe 60, 80, 100 people to overcome their cancer in my process. The IAMDIVINITY. And you know what's exciting? Is our team. And they know each one of them are responsible to stay at 700. Get to 700 and stay there. And if you fall off, get back. Back on your horse right away. Yeah. Back on your horse right away. Because that's our responsibility here. And we're here to raise all humanity 700. That's my vision. Jamie came on board 4 or 5 years ago. And he just gangbusters. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Come on, Don, let's do it. And so that's what we've been doing. We've been traveling all over the world, talking about this level of consciousness to 700. To 700. Because the average is 210. 210. 210. And I think that's taken 50 years to go from 200 to 210. I'm talking about 200 to 700 in 2 hours. Like, how can you compare those two mathematical equations? And instead of staring at your belly button, being angry at your husband or your wife or your kids, or we don't have enough of this and this is happening, or somebody died, and the grief and the loss and all. No, that doesn't change this. Doesn't change the where you are on the scale. Changes it is you doing what you need to do to let go of the state you were in that's below 700. 150, 100, 100. Whole idea is to get to 1,000. Get to 1,000. I know how to do that. Done it myself. I know exactly when I'm off my. Yeah, I don't get away with anything. Really don't. So that's it. So the Jamies and the Wills and the Ninas and the Tessers and yeah, it's like, oh, and all of the other ones that I've worked with all over the world. Now that many of them are still holding. Yeah, there's a little bit of a tune-up that sometimes that's required, and it's really easy once they have experienced that 700. There's no comparison between 700 and 210. Seriously, there's just none. And I'm saying that, like, with my eyes closed, I can get you to 700. 2 hours or less. So what I'd like you to think about by the sounds is enlightenment. Wow, I want to know what enlightenment feels like, not sounds like. I want to get this. But then you need to sign up. You need to sign up. Whether it's a one-on-one or dynamic. That is possible. It's not 20 years. It's 2 hours. Imagine shifting all of your consciousness that will have a rippling effect on all of your children, your career, your health, all of everything, every one of them are all instantly affected. So I encourage you to be strong. I'm doing this. I don't care. This just sounds too good to walk away from. So I'll see you. You tell me you heard this. Tell me the day you heard it. Let's go. Let's shift humanity's consciousness to 700. And you can stop listening to all the new. It doesn't damn thing. You're in your life. Magnificent day. And I trust we will meet very, very